Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, Team Tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
And welcome into Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, episode number 441. Charles Bishop here with AD Drew. Doc will come in. He'll be coming in a second or two, but we'll kick things off. AD Drew, what's going on, brother?
All right, the doctor is late. What we give him 15?
We got to give him 15.
We got to give him 15.
We can leave class. Exactly.
The TA starts, but the TAs are here to start the class off, so nobody can leave yet because the doc has the attendance sheet. So even if y'all decide to leave, you can, like Doc say, you'll get an F squared for the day.
F squared, got the attendance sheet, got the grade book, got the whole down. So you better sit still till Doc get in.
and it's midterm time, so y'all better stay around so you can get the study guide.
No doubt, man. I tell you what, whole lot of stuff to get to in this episode. Full slate of action this weekend. We got band rankings. Actually, breaking news just over my shoulder, man. This one hurts my heart. It's not exactly HBC, but Dick Buckus just passed away, it's breaking news now that Dick Buckus. And for a lot of us who grew up on NFL films and, Chicago Bears, Dick Buckus, that was my dad's guy right there. So just wanted to acknowledge that real quick.
Too bad they don't put those, what did they used to call it, the hardest hits? It wasn't called the hardest hits.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Those films that they can't even put out anymore.
Exactly.
And Dick Buckus was all over the place on there.
All over the place. If you've never seen Dick Buckus hit something, that is NFL films at its finest. So, but we'll get into some HBCU news here and a lot of stuff to get to. Let me start here. I'd be remiss not to start here. I want to say thoughts and prayers first and foremost to the Morgan State family. With everything they're going through. If you have not heard, they have made a decision to cancel their homecoming festivities. Unfortunate shooting on campus. I believe that was the other night.
I think that was Monday night if I got my Wayback Machine right.
Earlier this past week, so I definitely want to send thoughts and prayers in regards to Morgan State and everything that they're going to. The unfortunate situation. And, it's guns in this country, man. I don't even know where to go with that. But, it's just too often that we're saying thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. What I know when I left for school, one of my parents' biggest fears was, your child not coming back home.
Yeah.
And too often nowadays, our children are not coming back home due to senseless violence. It's just that simple. And that was one of my biggest fears when mine went away to go to school. I know you went to school in your hometown, so it was a little bit different for you. But when my son, your kids have gone away, that's always your biggest fear. And it's not just when they go away to school. It's just when they leave the next period that they come home, for lack of a better word, Charles, in a body bag. And it's unfortunate that we can't get together and celebrate the joyful times that we should be having during this season as the weather changes. It's just something in that biological clock. It's homecoming time when the weather changes. Now, and I'm going to throw this in. Some of these kids, the upperclassmen there, are some of the same kids who were freshmen during COVID. So, have they had a true college experience? When you think about it, Charles?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, I hadn't even sort of put that into that sort of framework. That's an excellent point there. Have they had a true homecoming? All right. Interesting to look at. Like I said, a whole lot of news notes to get to today. I know, AD, you wanted to touch on something, especially in regards to this past week, and we touched on a little bit this past Tuesday on Coach Willie Slater. Clark has moved on from Coach Willie Slater, but you had some thoughts in that regard.
Yeah, Coach Willie Slater. Worked with him at Tuskegee University. He was coaching football while I was coaching basketball. I remember when he was hired to replace Coach Comergy, who ultimately wound up over there at, I believe he left and went to Jackson State, left Tuskegee and went to Jackson State, and Slater was the guy brought in. Had a good situation when he came to Tuskegee, and probably one of the hardest things to do is to maintain greatness when you walk into a great program. Just ask TC Taylor what he's dealing with right now. Not saying he won't succeed, but it's tough.
Yeah.
When you have such a high standard, and he was able to not only sustain that standard, but to enhance that standard to the point where he became the second all-time winning coach in Tuskegee University history, only trailing the legendary Cleve Abbott, whom the stadium is named after at Tuskegee. But and it's a shame that, first of all, it's a shame how Tuskegee did him. Maybe it was time for him to go, maybe it wasn't. But the way he was forced out at Tuskegee for somebody who had gave you 16 years, number 2 on your all-time win list, still doesn't sit right with me to this day as an alum. I'm not questioning the decision on whether he should have left or should not have left, but the way he left does not sit right with me.
Understood.
But also going over to Clark, I mean, let's be real, Charles. I mean, I know the winning tradition at Clark put a lot of pressure on Coach Slater. Oh, my bad. There is no winning tradition at Clark. It is what it is, Panthers fans, So for him to be forced out, don't know what was behind the decision with that. I know Dr. French came over from Miles, where him along with athletic director and head coach Reginald Ruffin built a successful program over there at Miles, and maybe Coach French was looking to rekindle that. Everybody knows Coach Ruffin coached up under Coach Slater. So, but it's not all Miles' fault, Coach Slater does have a little bit of fault in this, once they made him athletic director in 2017 at Tuskegee. 2018 is when the Tuskegee football program started going down. And at one point in time, he was the athletic director, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the quarterback's coach. Too many jobs for one man. Too many jobs for 4 men sometimes. Yeah. But so he does have his share of fault. But I hope that if Slater is done for good, I hope some point in time Tuskegee finds a way to give him his proper flowers and thank him for the years of service that he gave to the Golden Tiger Nation. Now, knowing Coach Slater, he's not gonna want that. You're gonna have to force him to show up for something like that. But he deserves, and he deserves to say, no, I don't want that.
No doubt. Very interesting. You put his name right up there with Cleve Abbott. That says a lot in terms of Tuskegee football history. Let's take a look at some news and notes of the day as we take a look here. NFL All-Pro Antonio Cromartie. He is joining HBCU coaching staff, and this comes to us from HBCU Game Day. 4-time Pro Bowler, has been hired as a defensive analyst at St. Augustine's University, located in Raleigh, North Carolina. St. Augustine's is a Division II school, which competes in the CIAA. So previously, Cromartie had worked as a graduate assistant under Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M for 2 seasons, and he recently tweeted about his frustrations about being away from coaching this season. So kudos to Antonio Cromartie as he comes aboard at the St. Augustine's coaching staff. Anything you got over there, AD?
How about let's go to D2. Let's go to the CIAA, the oldest HBCU conference. It's proud to announce that Alexis Elliott and Varvana, I'm not even going to try to say this last name, Charles.
Papa Castanino.
Okay.
I like that.
Varvana P. Both exceptional individuals representing ECSU, that's Elizabeth City, and Livingstone, have been named finalists for the prestigious NCAA Woman of the Year. The NCAA Woman of the Year award recognizes the outstanding accomplishments of female student athletes who have excelled in academics, athletics, leadership, and community engagement in their time during the conference. Alexis is a 2022 graduate of ECSU, and on the court, she led ECSU volleyball team, I believe that is.
Mm-hmm.
And Varvana is from Livingstone, and she is a basketball and track athlete, a two-sport athlete there at Livingstone. And check this out, y'all. Only got a 4.0 in business administration and management while she was in school. So
no doubt about it, man. Kudos to those athletes as they are getting their proper just due. Let's take a look at it. And as Doc always says, chivalry is not dead. We'll take a look at the SWAC volleyball honors for this past week. The SWAC has named Grambling State's Nia Blair and Nia Ellis, along with Florida A&M's Camila De La Rosa and Bethune-Cookman's Mia Delahousse for SWAC's Volleyball Weekly Honors for their impressive performances this past week. Take a look at the Offensive Player of the Week. Blair tallied a total of 24 kills over the course of 2 conference matches to go along with 6 digs and 4 assists. Nia Ellis, she contributed 46 digs. She's Defensive Player of the Week. 46 digs over the course of 2 conference matches to go along with 1 kill and 5 assists for Grambling State during matches against Prairie View and Texas A&M. Texas Southern this past week. The Center of the Week is Camila De La Rosa from Florida A&M. She helped FAMU to a 2-0 weekend versus Mississippi Valley State and Jackson State, as she totaled, get this, AD, she totaled 59 assists in 5 sets of play. And the newcomer of the week is Mia Delahousse from Bethune-Cookman. Delahousse led the Wildcats in a pair of SWAC matches last week, helping Bethune-Cookman to a 1-1 mark in those respective contests. She hit at a season-best 43% clip in a win on Mississippi Valley State, as she secured a match-high 12 kills on 23 swings. So those are your volleyball players of the week in the SWAC. And I tell you what, we got a lot of stuff in store for you. More news notes. We got band rankings. We got some predictions coming up. We'll be right back here on Dr. CAVIL'S Inside the HBCU Sports Lab right after this break.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
This is Ryan.
Press the analytics. Data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I'm back. Man, y'all see me? I'm setting the mood, man. I'm setting the mood.
hey, Charles, go tell them that said they went to the bathroom. They better hurry up and get back inside.
Yeah,
they want to grade for the day.
I told them Doc was coming back. You better come on back in.
Let's get into our mid-major marching sport top 7 poll ranking in week number 5. Not a lot of changes here, or are they? Nobody drops out of the top 7, but we do have a lot of changes, including a new number 1. Yeah, I did say that. A new number 1 in the mid-major rankings. Receiving votes this week are Central State, the Invincible Marching Marauders at 93. Kentucky State Mighty Marching Thoroughbreds are at 96. And the Albany State Golden Rams Marching Show Band is at 89 in terms of those outside receiving votes. Let's get into the top 7. This week at number 7, Virginia State Trojan Explosion dropped to 1-1, 103 points. They moved down a spot. I told you in this poll ranking, you got to participate. A great article by the band director up there as they were lauded in terms of what came out of the first September framework of the national champions of bands that will be in Atlanta this Friday. Well, they better put in some work on this poll if they want to go up. When you think about it, they were in the top 7. I will say that. At number 6, Talladega Marching Tornadoes at 1-0 or at 106. They also dropped this week. Previously ranked number 5, Talladega Marching. I don't go too much and won't go too far in on the Marching Tornadoes. They don't have a football program. So it's not like it's their fault that they're not following their team. One does not exist. But that problem might be going away. You know, they're working on it, the study out there. They may be in luck in the next year or two. At number 5, Clark Atlanta Mighty Marching Panther Band, 1-0. Tough luck on the football side of things, and they are also going down in the band side of things. You got to get out there and travel. You got to march, support your team, even if they're 0 for on the season. 114 points. And number 4, Winston-Salem State Red Sea of Sound, 2-1, 1-0. They move up 3 spots this week, jumping up in the poll. That's the Fighting Stephen Gaithers, Red Sea of Sound. I want to see him talk some noise this week.
Stephen Gaithers.
They're all the way into number 4, the Red Sea of Sound there. At number 3, Benedict Marching Tiger Band of Distinctions. They fall from the number 1 spot. They have been inactive. They got a chance to make a statement with the top 3 matchup this week where they follow the team and give them their support and get in the band. It could be big one, and it probably will be needed in terms of the support there. They still have one first place vote, but 134 points as they drop for number 1, which means we'll get a new number 1. Number 2 is the Miles Purple Marching Machine, 2-1, 1-0, 3 first place votes, 141 points. They move up a spot, which means not only do you have 1 versus 3, on the football side of things, that will be our SIAC football matchup, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the 3rd segment. But that also means if the band of Benedict comes down there, you'll also get a 2 versus 3 in terms of 0 quarter, halftime, and 5th quarter. You can't get too much better than that at its finest. I hope it works out that way. Langston Marching Pride, they are 2-0. 1-0. 4 first place votes, 142 points at number 2. They move up to number 1. They had that win over Texas College. The problem with Langston is they just don't have any more competition. So it's to be challenged for them to stay at number 1. But at least they can say in week number 5, they were number 1. I'm going to go to you, AD Drew, first on this. What are your thoughts in the top 7 programs this week?
I'm just curious. Did your posters look at the HBCU game day article and decide to move Langston up based on what they saw in the HBCU game day article? Don't answer that, Doc. Don't answer that. But I just want to put that out there.
There's cheat codes out there. There are cheat codes.
I just want to put that out there.
That's your fault again.
Yeah, there you go. But I did notice that Florida Memorial is not in your top 7, who was up there in the Battle of the Band of the Year competition. But let's talk about this 2 versus 3 matchup.
There we go.
There is no way in hell, if you are the Benedict Tigers Marching Tiger Band of Distinction, you want to distinct yourself, get on that bus, go down I-20, and get to Birmingham, Alabama. Because if there's ever a time that your team is going to need your support, it's going to be this Saturday when you go in to Sloan Alumni Stadium in Fairfield, Alabama, to take on Miles. They're going to need all the help that they can get. And I'm not dissing the football team, but it's going to be that tough of a battle. Any advantage that you can get, be it from the band or wherever, if you are a Benedict Tiger, you want that advantage in this team. But the Purple Watch Machine is going to be there to defend their house when those Golden Bears get out there. So I am looking forward to 5 hours of band, football, band. That's 0, game, halftime, game, 5th quarter. I am looking for 5 full hours of entertainment. If you have disposable income, get to Fairfield, Alabama, and watch both these matchups.
Check this out, Charles. Before I go to you to get your top 10, let's see what Stephen Gaither, getting the announcement. He has his privileges as he was able to be the exclusive release of the 15 bands from both Division I and Division II. Credit to him. ESPN Band of the Year HBCU Band Championship. At the time, it was less than 80 days away. I'm going to talk about their top 10 compared to my top 7 and the 3 receiving votes, essentially 10 to 10, right? Winston-Salem State at 10. Number 9 is Benedict College. Number 8, Tuskegee. Number 7 is Savannah State. Number 6 is Little City State. Number 5 is Central State. Number 4 is Fort Valley State. Number 3 is Virginia State. Number 2 is Florida Memorial. Number 1 is Langston. Now, Stephen Gaither, this is a great job of reporting, I will say, but I got to talk about you not providing the nicknames of the bands. You did it for Division I, man. You're the one supposed to be a fan of Division II and NAIA. How you do that? Anyway, with that said, 4 of their top 10 also are 4 that I have. In terms of the top 7, I have 2 of the top 7. But, I mean, if you go and look at the top 10 to 10, I have 4 of the 10. So not too bad there. I like to kind of shine mine. But this is done professionally by the bands, former band directors. So they might know a thing or two. Remember, the difference between the two, they're looking at the showcase. They're breaking down in terms of how they perform. I'm doing head-to-head. So, man, you need to take advantage of both these. Even when you think about it, when you're doing judging, right? You don't want to not have been practicing. If you're in football, basketball, Allen Iverson had the famous quote, practice. This is practice. If you want to perform, I think you need to get your practice in. So you better get on the road and get it done. Charles, what do you say about the top 7?
I mean, I couldn't say it better. I mean, if you're starting to get this national light, this national shine, you need to get on the road and you got to compete. Whatever that looks like. I'm so looking forward to this 2 versus 3 matchup this weekend with Miles and Benedict. Like I said, I took a look at the game and AD, you touched on it. I think it's checking off all the elements. It's checking off, the band, the fans, the game itself,
tailgate,
the tailgating atmosphere. Like you said, you got some disposable income. Fairfield, Alabama is one of the places you want to be this weekend.
Sure, all right, when you talk about what that looks like. Fairfield, Alabama. And we'll be back on the other side to talk a little bit more about those matchups as we get into the D2 side of things. But before I do that, I'm not going to ask AD's questions, but I need to go check some of those voters. As you said, they pushed Langston up to number 1. They were number 2, so it's not high. Maybe they were influenced a little bit. But Drew, AD, in terms of your thought process, I know you broke down the poll rankings. Who is the program that you see has the most opportunity to jump up the charts, if you will?
Are we talking about the Band of the Year charts or the Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Huddle report?
Great question. Both of them.
If you have to ask me,
I have to.
Virginia. I think the CIAA teams, and with Virginia State right now being the top CIAA team, and Winston-Salem being the top two CIAA teams, I think those just because of the proximity of the CIAA schools to each other, those teams will have the biggest opportunity to either make or break themselves, because it's easier for those teams to travel than it is for the SWAC teams to travel and the other independent teams to travel. So I'm gonna stay with these two CIAA teams. If you had to push me in the corner, Dr. Cavil.
No problem. I just pushed Drew in the corner, so I'm gonna push Bishop as well. What are your thoughts in terms of who gets a chance to climb up these charts? For you, though, I just want you to focus on ESPN's Band of the Year HBCU Band Championship. Who do you think gets to jump up in the poll when you're looking at what we're doing in our rank?
Virginia State Miles. They both get an opportunity to get showcased, not only with regards to competition, but because the football team is doing so well. There's just more eyeballs on what the band can do. So you get more of an opportunity to showcase yourself. So it kind of works in reverse. The eyeballs sort of fall if your team is nowhere within that mix of people paying attention to them. But when your team is in the mix, you start clicking on the elements, and all of a sudden you pay more attention to that band. You start paying more attention to where they are, how they look, how they sound. Are they participating? Are they the 12th man? I'm big on that. So, I know that might not be a national band metric, but I'm huge on that. Whether your band is actually engaged and not just playing randomly when you're in the red zone. Hello. Some band director ought to hear that right now.
So in other words, what you're saying, Charles, is if the fans stay around to the actually long enough to get to the fifth quarter because the game is interested in the second half, that helps your band out overall, right?
Yeah, you just start paying attention to them more. You really do. All of it starts helping. You start paying attention to whether they are playing, whether you're inside the 10-yard line. You start paying attention to it.
Good stuff. Great points by both of you all. We'll go into our second break. We'll come back on the other side and we'll get into some of the matchups of the week. That's CIAA and SIC. Well, do we have to go with top 10 matchups? Stick with us, right after this break.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kinda got a sixth sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah,
So you.
it is.
There's a Buick that fits your life because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with AD Drew and Charles Bishop. Mike is still out on assignment, but I want to get into some of the games of the week. I want to put this out there for all the lab listeners, all HBCU fans, particularly HBCU football fans. I believe this is one of the most impactful weekends we've had in the last decade. We have 5, according to my rankings, and a lot of other ones out there very, very similar. We have 5 top 10 matchups where you have the 5 opponents, each one of them are ranked in their top 10. And we have it across multiple conferences. We have it in the CIAA, we have it in the SIAC, and we have 3 matchups in the SWAC. So I'm going to showcase that for you all as we start. In the CIAA, we have this weekend a homecoming game in Maryland with the number 2 team in the mid-major program, the Virginia State Trojans, that are 5-0 in the season overall and 3-0 in the conference race, take their team on the road to number 10, Bowie State Bulldogs, who are 3-2, 2-1. Obviously, Bowie State just lost their first game of the year last weekend, but they have a chance at redemption. And boy, do they need this victory if they want to stay in the race in the Northern Division to come out of it. So this is huge. This is their homecoming. All the chips are on the table. You have the favorite son coming back. Number 2 versus number 10. Mr. Bishop, Professor Bishop, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup, boy? I am excited.
You know, I was very excited going into this matchup. In some type way, Bowie State let the air out the balloon last week. It took all the oomph for me out of this game. Now, you know, I'm getting all lathered and prepped up. Virginia State puts their undefeated streak on the line going into Maryland, going to Bowie. And I don't know what that was. That was a lead balloon last week with Bowie State. Can they get up off the deck this week to knock off Virginia State? I like the Trojans. I like what Henry Frazier's doing there. That win against Norfolk State seemed to set the trajectory for this Virginia State season. So I'm gonna go with the Trojans. I think they stay undefeated in this.
Man, AD Drew, you talking about Coach Dr. Henry Frazier III coming back to his alma mater, but this time he won't be looking to celebrate for homecoming. He's actually coming in to ruin it in a lot of ways. Man, that is fascinating to see what you think about. Tell me what you think of this top 10 matchup. Number 2 is on the road. Can they hold on? Can they get it done at number 10? Or will we get a huge upset this week that puts the Bulldog back in the CIAA Northern race?
Here's the problem, Doc. This is a top matchup in name because of the brand names. Virginia State, Bowie State. Virginia State living up to their end of the bargain. Bowie State has not quite lived up to their end of the bargain this year. You know, this was one that we circled back in July. But when you look at the metrics, Virginia State is dominating a lot of the metrics that normally Bowie State would be dominating. But I do want to bring something out when you look at the numbers. You've got the number one passing offense in Bowie State in the conference and the number one rushing offense in Virginia State. But the defenses on the other side of the ball are average. So whose defense is going to make the top offense, top passing offense, the top rushing offense uncomfortable? That's what's going to determine this game. Thus far this season, Virginia State has knocked other teams off of their comfort level more than Bowie State. So I'm with Charles. I'm going to have to go with the Trojans on this one.
Man, boy, I tell you, it doesn't get good enough after that. Let's head down south. Let's go into Alabama. Some people say it's the cradle of football. I don't know about that. But it certainly is the place to be this weekend. Fairfield, Alabama, Albert J. Sloan Alumni Stadium. SIAC matchup. Saturday, October the 7th at 4 o'clock. And this game is on HBCU Go TV.
Correction. That game's been moved up to 1 o'clock Eastern because
that's
of
right, for the HBCU Go TV broadcast. Yeah. We have number one on the road. Number one and number two, both on the road this weekend. Boy, number one, Benedict Tigers are 5-0. 3-0 at number three. Miles Golden Bears that are 4-1, 3-0 on the season. Both teams come in undefeated. Unlike the CIAA, where you have the North and South. Remember, the SIAC went away from the North, East, and West, I should say, divisions, and they're going to take the top two teams. So this could be the first of two based on what takes place here, but it'll be interesting. With that being said, 80 Drew, can Miles Golden Bears, the number 3 team, at home take down the number 1 team this week in the poll rankings? Will we see a new number 1 next week? What do you say, Drew?
Unlike the CIAA matchup, the metrics for this game says this is going to be a knockout. Nobody better blink, because when you look at all of the metrics for this game, Benedict and Miles rank either 1, 2, or 3 in just about every important offensive and defensive metric. The only team that's really getting in there and kind of mixing it up with them is Fort Valley State. When you look at all the metrics, so this is going to be the play. When did you think that a game in Birmingham, Alabama, was going to be important that did not feature the University of Alabama or Auburn? It's not going to happen too often, but this is going to be the place to be. I think Miles holds serve. Miles has something to prove to Benedict. And if you go back to last year's game, which I was at, Benedict jumped up early. Miles shut them down the last 3 quarters of that game. Benedict got out early, had a couple of turnovers, they had to score. I think they went up like 21-0, and the final score was like 21-3, 21-7, something like that. Miles just had no offense last year, but the defense held serve last year, and the offense put them in bad positions. If that offense holds this year, and if you've been watching what Edwin Klein-Peter Jr. has been doing with that Miles offense the last 3 weeks, you would be crazy not to give Miles more than a puncher's chance and give them home field advantage and give them the W.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm going to you, Charles, but I want to set it up for you. Number 3, Miles Golden Bears at home. They were the previously king of the hill, king of the roosters they talk about. Their head coach went down I-65 and went to Tuskegee, but now they have a new man, 2nd year in charge, and he seems to have Miles Golden Bears back in the football business.
Yeah.
But not so fast. You got the number 1 team, the previous Black College National Champions of the mid-major division right here with Dr. CAVIL'S inside the HBCU Sports Lab. And we had the coach on the show and congratulate him for his victory of getting it done in his championship. Just going undefeated during the conference play in the regular season. They're at it again. Can they hold on to the number 1 ranking this week, those Benedict Tigers? Or will Golden Bears have something to say with it at number 3? I'm interested in this 1 versus 3 matchup. It doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than this, and I think, AD, you touched on it over the past few weeks. Edwin Kleinpeter, he has jumped into the conversation as being one of those dudes over there in the SIAC in terms of his play at quarterback. But let me tell you who the number 1 dude is in the SIAC. And I call him the Micah Parsons of HBCU football. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Five games, he already got 9 sacks. He is a game wrecker, a game changer. And as much as I want to go with Miles at home, I think the Benedict Tigers will go into Miles and take this one. And the game record will prove once again why a good defense beats a good offense all day. Benedict's only giving up 124 yards a game. That's something special about that defense. So I think Benedict goes in there and they shut down what had been a Miles offense that has been doing some things lately. I mean, I think they're either second or third in the SWAC. I'm sorry, in the SIAC in total offense. So, but I'm expecting Benedict to go in there and get this one.
I bet you buy a scoreboard and score a touchdown like some of these other teams haven't been able to do against that Benedict defense. They go get them a couple of touchdowns in this game.
They might get them a couple of touchdowns,
yeah.
But I saw it firsthand when you got a pass rusher in that fourth quarter and they start flying off that edge like Sunday out of Anderson did this past weekend against Prairie View. It is a game-changing sort of something when you got somebody that come off the edge and you get them offensive linemen flinching and all that stuff and 2 steps back and go 1 step forward. I'm telling you now, they got to do.
But one other thing on this game, Doc, this is the importance of this game. There are 5 undefeated teams in the SIAC after the month of September. So whoever loses this game is going to be behind the 8 ball severely with the new format that they have in the SIAC conference. So they want to get this game. Both teams, that's why this is going to be such a slobber knocker, because everybody knows what the stakes are. And some of these teams don't face each other that are in that those 5 undefeated teams. So it's going to be interesting what happens after this weekend in the SIAC.
No problem. You certainly are correct. Number 2, Virginia State Trojans at number 10, Bowie State Bulldogs in the CIAA. Number 1, Benedict Tigers at number 3, Miles Golden Bears on HBCU Go. Moved up to 1 o'clock. Check it out of the SIAC. Top 10 matchups at the Division II level. Mid-major programs. We'll be right back after this break to get into the major division. First, we're going to go with the Marching Sport, and we're coming back with the games of the week. And boy, do we have some good ones on that ledger as well. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this next break.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, so we have none other than Professor A.D. Drew with Professor Bishop. Let's get into Marching Sport Major Division top 7 poll rankings this week. Also in the rankings, we didn't have anybody dropping out. Not a lot of changes, not a lot of matchups. And so you'll see a lot of consistency in this poll. But we'll still get what the gentlemen think. Give us a chance to get into the matchups in a little more detail. But we're going to give you week number 5's Marching Sport Top 7 rankings. But receiving votes, Howard Bison Showtime Marching Band, 2-0 on the season, 132 points. You have North Carolina A&T, the blue and gold marching machine, 1-1 on the season with 130 points. Florida A&M, the marching 100 at 1-1 on the season. Let's get into the top 7 when we look at these rankings. At number 7, you have Tennessee State, the Aristocrat Bands, 2-0, as they continue to get it done, 133 points, but they stay at number 7. At number 6, you have the Bethune-Cookman, the Marching Wildcats, 2-0, 150 points. At number 6, as they continue to move forward with 151 points. Bringing us to number 5, Jackson State, the Sonic Boom of the South. They haven't participated in the week. The team was off, so you can see what's going on there. Get a chance to go on the road and have a big matchup this weekend. 2-1, 1-0, 156 points. Previous rank 5, they get a chance to move around in the rankings this week. Bringing us to number 4, Mississippi Valley State, the Mean Green Marching Machine, 3-0 on the season, 158 points, and they remain at number 4. At number 3 this week, Texas Southern, the Ocean of Soul, 3-0 on the season, 2-0 in terms of what they get done, 180 points, bringing us to number 3. Bringing us to number 2 this week, none other than the Southern Human Jukebox, 4-0 on the season, 2-0, 3-place votes, 197 points, and they get it done. At number 1, it continues to be there, Norfolk State, the Spartan Legions, 4-0, 7 first-place votes, 207 points, remain at number 1 in week number 5. They continue to do it. They have some matchups coming up. This will be interesting to see what that looks like. I'm going to start it out with you, Charles, and ask you this question so you get it. Top 10 matchups of the HBCU Band of the Year. In the major division, we have 7 of the 10 teams that are ranked, 6 of the top 7. But when you look at number 10, they have South Carolina State Marching 101. Number 9, Prairie View A&M, the Marching Storm. At number 8, Grambling State World Fame Band. And they're not in the 10, but I will give a shout out to Grambling. The World Fame Band, is my understanding. It wasn't just the football team that took away a victory this past weekend in the state fair. The band got it against the Marching Storm. And it's been a while since the World Fame has been able to say they got it done in terms of the marching halftime show. 0 quarter and 5th quarter as well. Bringing us in terms of this matchup is number
7.
7 in terms of this is Norfolk State Hot Ice. Number 6, that's the auxiliary team. Let me go to number 7, is Tennessee State Aristocrat Bands. At number 6, FAMU Marching 100. At number 5, Norfolk State, the Spartan Legion, number 1 in our ranking. Number 4 is Jackson State Sonic Boom of South, which is number 5 in our ranking. Bethune-Cookman Marching Wildcats are number 6 in our ranking, but number 3 in HBCU poll. At number 2, you have North Carolina A&T. We have them outside of the top 7, but they are in the 10, if you would. They come in at number 9 if you look at those receiving votes. And number 1, we both agree upon this, as Southern University Human Jukebox. Charles, what do you say about the top 7 marching sport poll in week 5?
Yeah, now we have to get into the nitty gritty of things, especially when you look at some of these good battle bands. Jackson State over the next few weeks, they got Alabama A&M, Alabama State, and look at here, the Mississippi Valley Mean Green Marching Machine. Does the marching machine take the trip out to Prairie View this weekend? That's the question. I want to see a little battle there. So, and then, like I said, this is where these battle bands start to shine, and this is where they start climbing up the polls. I'm looking forward to the human. Oh man, please don't take the air out the balloon for me. Human Jukebox and the March 100. Are we gonna get that, AD? All right. Never mind.
He's saying he don't plead the fifth. I will say this, Charles, to pep you up a little bit. I heard the Mean Green Marching Machine is taking a trip.
Okay, there we go. See,
that is what has last resort.
I love that. I need to see you come out and be ready for competition, be ready to battle. I love that. If you're going to spend money on a national band competition, spend money to follow your Never mind. Spend money.
G-Boom is saying that he put it out there. Rumor Valley coming to the Hill this weekend. So we got it there. With that being said, Drew, we broke everything down. I want to know, what are your thoughts on the top 7? No changes this weekend, week 5, first time of the year. So what are your thoughts in terms of what is taking place in week number 5?
I need to get close to the camera when I say this. Marching 100. If the Mean Green Marching Machine can get on the road, y'all can get on the road too. I'm just going to say that much to y'all. All right, now let's get back to let's get back to the nitty-gritty. What's that? Doc?
It sounds like you meant that.
Oh, I meant that. I meant that with all seriousness. You know, it makes no sense that the Marching 100 does not get on the road and go straight down I-10 and get to the Bluff. You got to. If you don't do any other road trip this season outside of a classic, that's the road one. Trip. Yeah, that's the one that trip. You put in your when you look at the football schedule and you get your budget at the beginning of the year when you have to turn in your budget. That's the one that you turn in on your budget, Dr. Cavil. You turn that one in.
That's the one call Will. That's the one you call Will Packham like, hey, we want to go to this. Okay, let's make that happen.
Robert, somebody. We got enough alumni where we could have some support on that one. Come on, fam. Please show up. Just please show up. Thank God for classics, because Valley participating in all these classics thus far this year has given a lot of people the opportunity to see the Mean Green Marching Machine, because the product on the field has not been the best, but thank God they participate in all these classics, so people have gotten a chance to see them. Also, Norfolk get the opportunity, obviously because of how they schedule their non-conference, picking up the non-conference games against other HBCUs, have had a chance to really have an impact in your poll, Dr. Cavil, unlike in the past where they've played a lot of non-HBCUs during the non-conference portion of the season. So their true worth has not been reflected in the past in your poll. So shout out to Norfolk State on that also. But let's be real. When it's all said and done come November, it's gonna be down to the two most visible bands that we have in the HBCU diaspora: Jackson State, Sonic Boom of the South, the Human Jukebox. They're going to be there at the top 3 come the end of the season. Right now, probably the Human Jukebox is probably at some point in time going to overtake Norfolk, because the next couple of weeks Norfolk doesn't have any HBCUs, although they do have that matchup with Tennessee State. So I'm going to be interested to see them and the Aristocrats of Bands. That's at Tennessee State, if I remember that correctly. That's Tennessee State's homecoming. Yeah, so
that's correct.
We're the Aristocrats of Band allow a visiting band to come in on homecoming and potentially embarrass them. Did you not say it? That's the question.
Please make that trip. Please make that trip.
Or will they be allowed to make that trip by the home band? Will the home band yield? Will they yield the floor to the Spartan Legion? That's the question.
We'll see.
The floor to them.
Oh, wow. There you go. Let's get into our last break. We'll come back on the other side and we'll get you into the final matchups. We got a bonus one for you. We're going to go into the MEAC with a top-ranked matchup, and we're going to go into 2 more SWAC top matchups this week. Stick with us. We'll be back after our last break.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
The CAVIL Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call CAVIL.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna love, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles and AD. Let's get into these matchups. Without further ado, we're in. Elon is hosting the number 2 HBCU program. North Carolina Central Eagles are 4-1. They hadn't played a conference game, obviously, and they're at Elon out of the Colonial. Coastal now, formerly known as the Colonial, CIAA, I should say. That is 3-2 on the season, 3-0 in conference race, so it should be a good matchup. You talking about number 2 going on the road. They just had a big win at home against Campbell, and now they set their fate on the Phoenix. Charles, what are your thoughts on this matchup here?
This is going to be a good matchup. I mean, when you take a look at this Elon team, this is a FCS playoff team, but very interesting stat that I came across with regards to Elon playing this game at home. They haven't allowed a touchdown at home in the past 15 quarters. And North Carolina Central, that's going to be a stout test for them in regard to that. But this is a good football game that I'm looking forward to. I'm going to take North Carolina Central, but it could come down to a last-second field goal. I really believe in the power of Davis Richard putting this team on his back if need be. And Latrell Mookie Collier, they got to get their running game up and going like they had this past weekend. Tremendous comeback against Campbell. That was fun to watch them fight their way back and get that W. So I'm putting my faith in Davis Richard.
No doubt. Good stuff there. Drew, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? This is a good one.
Look, if you're Central, you cannot afford to get off to another poor start like you did last week. You have got to come out and play with the same intensity that you played with in the fourth quarter and overtime against this Elon team. Because this Elon team, like you said, Charles, they haven't given up. They don't give up touchdowns easily. So anything that you can get early to get their confidence going and to break their spirit, that's what you're going to have to do. Now, if there's a team that can do this, Dr. Cavil, it's going to be the Eagles with Davis Richard, with Mookie Collier, and with that defense that they have. I'm going to take Central, but I'm taking Central more because I'm betting on black than maybe what my head may be telling me. My head is telling me Eli can pull this off, but I'm still gonna bet on black. I'm staying with Central.
Interesting. With that being said, let's move into this next matchup, and this is fascinating to me. We'll do some more of the band stuff. As we said, it looks like another confirmation that Norfolk State is going to Tennessee State. Also talking about that the Marching 100, is my understanding, Ricky Burton put out here saying they're going to A&M over Southern. He did shaking my head. I wonder if A&M went to Tallahassee last year in terms of what that took place. Maybe not. We'll see going forward. But let's get into the matchup on the gridiron. We had the number 1 team in the mid-major, going to Baton Rouge, A.W. Mumford Stadium, Red Sticks, as they like to say around those parts, SWAC, Saturday, October the 7th, 6 o'clock on ESPNU. The Rattlers at 4-1, 3-0 in the Eastern Division take on number 6 Southern Jaguars, 2-2, 2-0, if you would, in terms of the Western Division. Showtime matchup. You talking about programs that used to be interconference, one of the longest playing institutions till they stopped. They brought it back, and then next thing you know, it's a conference matchup. Wow. And it's a good one. It should be this weekend. Top 10 matchup when you look at it. Teams out of the top 7. Charles, what do you say about this game here?
2 really good defenses in this game when you take a look at it with regards to Southern and FAMU, number 1 and number 2 in the SWAC. A huge thing for me this past week is Southern is seemingly they got that running game up and going. They rushed for over 200 yards, but let me throw this out there. Southern fan, this is not UAPB that you're going to be rushing the ball against. This is a real salty defense. And as much as I want to take the Jaguars at home, I think this is probably the strongest FAMU team that I've seen in a second or two, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's going to be huge. The question for me in this game, Dr. Cavil, is will FAMU's running game show up? That's going to be huge, because if you let Jeremy Moose stand back there all night, at some point, Southern's defense is going to start hitting. And I think everybody knows around the conference that's kind of the key to getting FAMU kind of out of rhythm, is you got to put some pause on Jeremy Moose at some point in time. But I'll take the Rattlers on the road.
Good one. Interesting. A.D. Drew, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm going to kind of echo what Charles said, but I'm going to spin it. Just like Southern, you're now facing UAPB, FAMU. You're not playing Valley this week either. You can't do what you did last week against Southern and expect to win. Against Valley last week, expect to win against Southern. Last week, we played the 128th ranked team. For those of y'all who don't know, there are only 128 teams in FCS. That's the only reason we won that game last week. If we play a team in the top 100, we probably don't win that game, or it becomes a deal biter. Like you said, Charles, number 1 versus number 2. Here's the difference, though, Charles. FAMU is number 3 in scoring offense, 27.4 points per game. Mm-hmm. Southern, number 7 in scoring offense, 17.8 points per game. FAMU averaging 375 yards a game. Southern averaging 346 yards per game. While the defenses may be comparable, Charles, FAMU's offense is statistically superior to Southern's offense. But both offenses are flawed. Neither offense has a true running game. So that means that both these teams will probably run for 225 just basically because we're just saying that.
Just because we're saying exactly.
Just because we're saying that. But I'm supposed to close this out. When the schedule came out in July, this was the one chink that I had on the FAMU schedule. The one chink in the armor on the FAMU schedule was them traveling to Baton Rouge, because that is such a tough place to play. But you said it Tuesday, Charles. When was the last time Southern lost to both FAMU and Jackson State at home in the same year?
Yeah.
Charles, and it pains me to say this, I don't know if we need to answer that question right now, because we may have to put that off for 2 more years. So, I still think if FAMU is going to lose a game, this is the game that they will lose.
Hey, I think I got the answer to that. Didn't these two teams play in Baton Rouge 2 years ago?
Damn sure did.
Didn't Jackson State beat Southern when Coach Prime came back?
And FAMU.
He did. It was 2 years ago.
Didn't FAMU go into Baton Rouge and beat up on the Jaguar?
Okay, it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
It was just 2 years ago.
It don't happen too often, though.
But I have a point. Overall, you're saying how often does that happen prior to that? And so you're right. I just wanted to put it out there that it's crazy when you think about it, just how much time is flying really about that matchup. So it's tough. That was a different Southern team.
I've got to put a caveat on that one. That was their own coaching plays. But now your man.
I'm just saying what's in the record book. But you're right.
Tempo. Mm-hmm.
Let's do our last matchup here. Last of the top 5 matchups. We're gonna take you to Lorman, Mississippi. Jack Spink Stadium, boy, it's been a classic matchup between these two programs. But in the heart of the SWAC, now both of them are in the Western Division. And boy, a lot is on the line. Saturday, October the 7th at 2:30 p.m. This one's on ESPN Plus. Number 5, Grambling State, as they are on the way up. Sit at 3-2, 2-0 in the conference race after taking it to the Panthers of Prairie View A&M in the State Fair Classic. But they're on the road this week at number 10, Alcorn State Braves, that also got a road win. They were in Montgomery, getting it done in overtime on a field goal, 2-3, saving the season thus far at 1-1. They get a chance now to make a statement. I'm fascinated to see what's going on. I'm going to stay with you, Drew. What are your thoughts on this top 10 matchup in the SWAC?
Look, first of all, this Alcorn team, we thought Tyler Baker was going to be the man spinning the ball for Alcorn. But due to injury, I heard he's supposed to be shutting it down for the rest of the season. So you've got Aaron Allen spinning the ball for Alcorn. Now Aaron Allen, he's been putting up 185 per game, but it's a different type of. He's a different type of guy. He's not that dual threat that Tyler Bacon is proven to be. And Tyler Bacon's probably a better runner than he is passer right now. So it's a bit of an adjustment for Alcorn. And by the way, anybody seen Jarvion Howard?
I'm looking for him. I'm looking for this game.
I guess the milk cartons aren't working for Jarvion Howard because he has not been seen at all this season toting the rock for Alcorn.
That's so hard to believe, but you are correct.
Yeah. And when you look at what Grambling has done, especially defensively, I mean, they're living off that defense. You've got somebody who's supposed to be the quarterback whisperer in Hugh Jackson, realizing that I can't spin the ball every time, so let me get somebody to tote the rock, and they're doing a good job shortening the game, keeping the defense on the sideline, so when the defense get out on the field, they are wrecking havoc. I'm going with the G-men in this one, and like Charles Bishop always says, Grambling's never down for too long. Hey, y'all, guess what? The G-men are back.
I like that too. AD, way to give it, way to bring it. Charles, what do you say about this matchup?
I do remember, like I said, Grambling doesn't stay down for very long, and the last time they were down, it was this sort of come-to-Jesus game at Alcorn that announced the arrival of the Broderick Fives Grambling State Tigers team. Is this that game for Hugh Jackson to announce the arrival of the Grambling State Tigers? They have the number 1 offense in the SWAC. They're averaging over 400 yards a game, 407 yards a game. They got 2 hard running backs, Chance Williams and Floyd Chalk. They went for over 200 yards this past week against Prairie View defense has been pretty stingy in that regards. But the difference maker for Grambling this year has been player Miles Crawley. He has been very consistent. He's only thrown 1 interception thus far in the year. He's completing 60% of his passes. And they got a real dude over there on the defensive side of the ball, Sundiata Anderson. When he, pins his ears back and he comes after quarterback, he comes with bad intentions. This is going to be a tough one, I think, for Alcorn to win. And I have to go with the Grambling G-men. I have to go with Tigers on this one. I think this is where they announce to the rest of the SWAC, not only are we back, but when we are back, we do big things when we're back. So I think that's huge for Grambling to get this win in Norman this weekend.
Why you didn't tell me that last week? I've been ready for it. With that being said, great points by both of you all. Thank you for listening. As we talked about these top 5 matchups, it hadn't been a weekend quite like this in the last 10 years, last decade, as I said. When you got 5 top 10 matchups featuring top 10 teams, in HBCU poll ranking. Make sure you tune in, go to the game. If at all possible, check out these big matchups. We talked about on Tuesday that matchup that will feature Jackson State and Alabama A&M, which is the third top 10 matchup, if you would, out of the SWAC, which is in Mobile, Alabama. Check out the show for those updates if you hadn't heard about that. All our lab listeners, I know you all up on that. With that being said, let's bring it to a close. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, A.D. Drew, bringing us some love today. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. Don't forget, we'll be here Sunday morning to break it down this great weekend with the top 5 matches. We'll tell you what happened and what you saw with your eyes and tell you also why it happened with the breakdown on Sunday morning. Catch us at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time to give you the ins and outs of these key matches. We look forward to doing that for you on Sunday. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattaCavil. That's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook and YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Drew?
Lecture.
And for those that don't know, you don't see me. I'm not in the lab, in the office. I am in Atlanta doing some homework, getting it done for you to make sure we can bring it to you hard and heavy.
I'll be back. With a new coach?
Yeah, I'm looking. Hey, interview with you. Or either I'm bringing them to the table. With that being said, we'll holler. Man.